Question: what might happen if God always gave us what we wanted? Check out today's post. It says, sometimes God allows you to experience everything you thought would satisfy your soul, only to understand that it doesn't. Now, I got quite a bit of reading for you today. All right, so bear with me. It's a few verses, but I think it will paint the perfect picture. All right, check this out. So this is 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 10 through 19. And it says, Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who were asking him for a king. He said, this is what the king who will reign over you will claim as his rights. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses, and they will run in front of his chariots. Some he will assign to be commanders of thousands and commanders of fifties, and others to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and still others to make weapons of war and equipment for chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his attendants. He will take 1/10 of your grain and of your vintage and give it to his officials and attendants. Your male and female servants and the best of your cattle and donkeys he will take for his own use. He will take 1/10 of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out for relief from the king you have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you in that day. But the people refused to listen to Samuel. No, they said, we want a king. Say to you again, sometimes God allows you to experience everything you thought would satisfy your soul, only to understand that it doesn't. Something that we have to understand is this: there is a part of you that no matter what you try to put in that place, nothing will satisfy you, because that part of you is designed for God. That part of you is reserved for God. And until you put God in his rightful place in your life, in your heart, you're going to always feel like something is missing. You're going to always feel like something is lacking. You've got to allow God to be God in your life. So if you look here again, here's the cool thing about this. The people of Israel had a king. They had the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. They had God as their king. And they looked around and they saw other nations have a king, an earthly king. We want an earthly king. And so they tell Samuel, who's the judge, who's the one who's leading the prophet over them, and they say, we want a king. Samuel gets upset. Samuel gets upset at the people. Why would you want a king when you got God? Why would you want to substitute the greatest of the great for something just because others have it? And he was offended. And God had to tell Samuel, don't be offended. They're rejecting me. They're not rejecting you. But before we give them an answer, go back and tell them this. And that's what we just read. This king was going to do all these things to you. He's going to take your sons and make them his servants. He's going to take your daughters and make them do all kinds of things they don't want to do. He's going to take your land. He's going to tax you. He's going to do all these things. And you know what the people still said? We don't care. Give us a king so we'll be like other nations. Sometimes God will allow you to have what you ask for, to realize you don't really want that. You don't really want that. Remember this, the Bible tells us that no good thing will God withhold from them that love him. When you love God, he only provides for you the best of the best. So if you're asking for something that he's not willing to give, or what he's not providing already, it's possible that that's not what's best for you. I have a saying that I tell my sons. This is what I tell my sons. I tell my boys this: Dad only says no when no is the best answer. I'll only tell you no when no is not in your best interest. So you've asked God and he has not given you what you've asked for. Could it be, one, you've done something that is blocking him from blessing your life, or two, what you're asking him is not in your best interest? But I would venture to say we have to thank God that he has not always given us what we've asked, because most of the time we don't know what we're asking for. We're asking for things because we see other people have it. Other people have this in their life, and I think I want it in my life. And you don't realize that the people that look like they're happy with that in their life, they're miserable. Behind closed doors, they're not happy. They're not satisfied. You know why? Because what is in that place, in their heart, is not God. And yeah, they got money. Yeah, they got a great job. Yeah, they got a wife and maybe children. They got all these things that make it look like life is sweet, but they don't have God. And because they don't have God in their heart, they have all these wonderful things that the world has afforded them, and yet they're not happy because God has allowed them to have all the things they think will satisfy their soul, and yet their soul goes unsatisfied. I would beg of you that you will only ask God for what he wants in your life, that you will trust that if he hasn't supplied it, it's because you don't need it. Let me say that again. If he hasn't supplied it, it's because you don't need it. I'm not saying you don't want it. I'm saying you don't need it, because my God will supply my need according to his riches and glory. If you have a need, our Heavenly Father is going to meet that need. And if you walk with him closely, he will supply many of your wants. The greatest blessing is this: when your wants becomes what he wants for your life. Did you catch that? When your wants becomes what he wants for your life. This blessed me, and I pray that it blesses you too. I pray that you will take a moment. Now, I ask you this every single video. Take a moment and share today's video with someone you love. Share today's video with someone that you want to be encouraged, that you want them to learn to be content with what God has given, what God has provided, so that they don't keep chasing after what they think is going to give them satisfaction, when the only thing that can give them satisfaction is when they put God where God belongs. All right? Click that thumbs up button if this blessed you. Share today's video if this blessed you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click that subscribe button, click the bell so you never miss a video. Every morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, I will release a video to encourage you on your journey. Walk with me as we continue to grow closer to the Lord together. All right? Watch it, share it, and live it. Now let's get busy living the life. God bless you.